Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make a very controversial call with this one. Do you remember back in Series 2 when Freema Agyeman, the woman who played Martha, forgive me if I'm borking the name, Freema Agyeman, when she was in Series 2 and then she was the companion next season, and it was the same thing with Catherine Tate and with Karen Gillan? Well, do you remember way back at the beginning of Series 7, or as I'm calling it Series 6.5, since it really doesn't seem to match up with the rest of Series 7, when Jenna Louise-Coleman played the character Oswin, who is technically the same character? I'm going to count that towards this weird little coincidence, this little coincidence train that's been going on with the companions, that they always show up in the season previous. Because the way I see it, it's Series 6.5, not Series 7. Just a random little thing I'd just like to point out. Anyway, hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Immortal Cave and SamWeTrust.blogspot.ca. As usual, you can find a link to my blog in the description, and you can find my ramblings, rantings, and hopefully soon my review of The End of Time, the Doctor Who special. I'm working on it, I swear to God. Anyway, what we are here for is Cold War, the brand new episode of Doctor Who. However, I'd like to say something right now. The response to my last episode has been astronomical compared to everything else I've done. I can only assume this is because of the polarizing nature of Rings of Akaten, which, by the way, I cannot remember the name, forgive me, but they told me how to pronounce it. It was Akaten. I got it right the first time, apparently, but I'll put up a little thing or something just to give the name, but thank you very much. Anyway, but no, as of right now, it's over 900, which is absolutely crazy for the amount of views, and there's likes everywhere and comments, and just if you liked it, if you commented it, if you watched it, even if you didn't like it, thank you. That was really cool. Like, I'm not used to these getting a lot of views, so when I was going through the weekend, I was checking to see if there was any comments. I see this entire list. I go see it, and there's over 900 views on it. I just, that made my day. So, thank you very much. But anyway, we are here for Cold War. And this is a very interesting one because this continues the trend of this season starting off really slowly and then being awesome. Rings of Akaten was amazing. It was excellent. Very polarizing, apparently, but I loved it. This is another one that started off a little bit slow, but it got so good, too. Like, oh, man. Oh. Okay, there's something I have to get out of my system. Oh my god, the Ice Warriors are so cool. Like, this is so... I always try to keep at least some kind of a professional nature to these. Like, I always try to be analytical or whatever, but oh my god, they're so cool. Like, just the whole, you harm one of us, you harm all of us thing. I love that. I love their design. Like, the scaled armor and everything. That looks so cool. And just everything about them I just love. The fact that they're Martians I love. The fact that, their armor, they have this very crocodilian appearance. The fact that they're more or less a combination between the Cybermen, the Sontarans, and the Silurians, and yet they're still so interesting. And they're one of the first enemies. I'm pretty sure they showed up long before the Silurians, or maybe even the Cybermen. Probably the Sontarans as well, actually, so they actually came first. I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, but, oh man, those guys are cool. We went from, episode 1, Bells of St. John, having really lame enemies, to Akaten having really cool, pretty cool enemies, to this one just having, like, these guys might have replaced the Daleks. I take that back immediately, but they were really cool. I really like the design. I love just everything about them. I just think it's so cool. That sense of honor, like the Sontarans, but very even-sided. And I love... Okay, hold on. Ahem. I'm going to try and regain my composure. This episode was very interesting because this was the first episode that I was really looking forward to. The next one being Hyde, which is the next episode. And by the way, I actually saw the full episode list. The only episodes I knew were coming up were the first 4. I saw the full episode list. Good times ahead. But anyway, I'll get into that when I'm done here. But this was the first one I was really looking forward to. This was the first one I was really interested in, and it did not disappoint because at first there were a couple of problems. Most notably the fact that it just started off a little weird. It started off a little bit too much going on, I think. And though I think it did end up well because of that. Because of the action at the beginning, but it just kind of felt kind of weird getting into it. The action at the beginning was a little off-putting. And there's one other thing that was really bothering me, which was they're on a Russian submarine during the Cold War. Now, everyone behaved as such. Everyone was paranoid as hell. But there was one thing that was always bothering me. They had English accents. Now, I know the TARDIS translates the languages into English, or into the speaker's native language, and vice versa. So, the Russians think the Doctor and Clara are speaking Russian, the Doctor and Clara think they're speaking English, da-da-da-da-da-da. I just think it should have been with a Russian accent. Now, obviously, if they just couldn't do a Russian accent without it sounding really stupid, okay, fair. And I'm sure there is a logical explanation, like translating it into English would translate it into the purest form of English, which is arguably the first form of English, which is arguably would have the English accent, but I don't know, it just seemed kind of weird to me. But past that point, it was so good. Like, the enemy, forgive me, I've already forgotten his name, he was really cool. Like, just, again, I love the sense of honor for the Ice Warriors. I love the coolness of just being able to slip out of that suit. Like, what happened was, they had him at arms. Like, they were basically just tied, staring at each other. Somebody shocked the Ice Warrior from behind, and then they ended up tying him up because he's an Ice Warrior and he's going to mercilessly murder everybody on the friggin' submarine. But they tied him up, and eventually he ended up slipping out of his suit, which is something that the Doctor, and something that we, as in the audience, have never seen before. To my knowledge, of course. I've never actually seen anything else with the Ice Warriors, but I thought that added a little bit to them. Like, they're not just these heavy Sontaran. That's what they kind of remind me in the suit. It kind of remind me of a cross between a Sontaran and a Cyberman. Like, just very heavy, very warmongering, very honorable at the same time. So it just kind of reminded me of that. But just, I love just the fact that he slipped out. That added just enough for me to really love these guys. I'm going to try and avoid talking about the Ice Warriors from now on, because I'm just going to go off on a rant one of these, like, just for about 3 hours. Anyway. Other than that, I thought everything was really nice. The plot progressed rather nicely. It acted like, it was reminding me of Alien 1. Just how everything was progressing, like this unseen creature just, when he slipped out of the suit, that's kind of how I saw it, was just like this weird cross between, again, like a Silurian and like a xenomorph from the movie Alien. Just like crawling around in vents and popping down and pulling people up into vents and apparently ripping them to shreds. That was a little, they didn't actually show anything, of course, but apparently quite a few people got dissected. And, or perhaps vivisected would be more proper. Well, were they alive when that happened? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, you didn't see much, but it was implied. It was pretty grisly. And, Clara walking in and seeing, essentially, like, Jack the Ripper had just been there. Yikes. Maybe my imagination's getting a little carried away with me, but that's just kind of the way I saw it, was just, the Doctor walks in and it's just Jack the Ripper. And if I was a little bit more clever, I'd make a Vastra joke there, but I'm not gonna. Anyway, no, the basic plot progression was rather nice. Again, at the very beginning, it was a little off, but it just progressed so smoothly, you know. And I thought, all the characters were really good. I thought that they were likable, that all the characters were likable enough and they were all understandable in their roles. Like, nobody seemed way out of left field. Maybe that well, no. Well, maybe the curious younger guy, maybe, seemed a little off. I can't remember what his name was, but he got killed alongside this rather smarmy-looking guy. But anyway, that was really good, though. I realize I'm just ranting now, but just that was really cool. And it was really good as a story for the Cold War as well. Something I really like about Doctor Who is how it can go from the season premiere, which was about Wi-Fi, to this very alien story involving things like religion and what a soul is and what a human memory is and all that type of thing. And I thought that was really neat as well. But when we get into the third bit is where I was really interested and really intrigued. Is it can go from Wi-Fi to Rings of Akaten to a Cold War story. This is what I love about Doctor Who, ladies and gentlemen. Just the fact that it can do that. Like, it can do a very modern story like Wi-Fi and then transit perfectly into a Cold War story. I love that so much. But anyway, like I said, the characters were really good. The villain was both understandable and really nice. A really cool character. And that's not a pun. At least not an intended pun, and I do apologize if you face-palmed or groaned when I said that. I hate puns, so. No, that was a really good episode. I'm trying not to ramble too much, and I realize I'm rambling insanely right now. But see the episode. If you have not already seen the episode, see the episode. It is an excellent Cold War story. Again, perhaps generalized a bit. Like, obviously it's not a perfect thing for the Cold War, but for that I would say... Actually, I don't even know any other Cold War stories, except for, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater and... I do love that game, but I wouldn't say the story was a... You know what, it's been a few years, I'm just going to shut up now. It's been a few years since I played Snake Eater. Anyway, I do as a Cold War story, I thought it did pretty good. The villain, like I said, I love the Ice Warriors now. Like, that was just cool. Again, I've never seen anything else with them, but just from skimming their stuff, like their Wikipedia entry or what have you, just from reading that little bit beforehand and doing a bit of other research, they seem really cool. They do. And the characters being excellent. I thought the Doctor and Clara were both excellent in this episode. This was... I'm trying to think of a really good... Again, it's... Maybe this is a bit detrimental to it, but it's kind of scary how it's so... It's almost one for the Christopher Eccleston season so far, for Series 1. Because, the first episode, good introduction episode to everybody, to the companion, to the Doctor, as he is then, at least, in the case of 11 in this situation. An introduction to the Doctor, to the companion, and the villains were really lame. Second episode, End of the World, this testing ground to see, just to throw as much weird crap at Clara or Rose. And now this very supernatural and very neat episode. Now, I would say that Rings of Akaten is better than end of the world, and I would say that Cold War is better than, what was that episode called? The Restless Dead? What was that episode called? Okay, I'm just gonna leave that alone. The third episode with Christopher Eccleston, sorry. With Eccleston and, with him and, the guy who wrote the Christmas Carol and Ghosts and da-da-da-da. Good episode, go watch it. Anyway. You know, that is kind of odd, though, how it's almost 1-for-1 so far. Now, I don't remember... Right, that was episode 4 of... Okay, yeah, that's going to change next week. You know, next week's episode, Hyde, is going to be a horror story. If memory serves me correctly, Season 1, Episode 4 was the first episode with the Slitheen. And I do not like the Slitheen very much. Next episode looks really good, so... But actually, let's get into what's coming up next. Right now, actually. Next episode's Hyde, which looks really cool. It's a ghost story, horror story. Though that ghost image they keep using looks really stupid. That's going to be in the movie poster. You'll see that next week, or just look it up. You know, that looked really... That ghost, I hope that they don't actually use that in the episode. Because that looks really cheesy. The episode after that is Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, which sounds interesting. The episode after that... there's 3 episodes left. I think the next episode is going to be... I think it's The Crimson Threat or something like that. I can't remember the exact title, but that's going to involve Strax, Jenny, and Vostra, so it's kind of automatically awesome. Because, god damn... Strax stole the Christmas special. Anyway, the episode after that is going to be the return of the Cybermen in this new form, which I wasn't a fan of at first, but I have grown to like it. The episode itself, I think it was called Silver Nightmare, which sounds badass, so I'm really looking forward to that one. By the way, this list is off my memory, so if I'm way the hell off with this, you know, forgive me. It's up on Wikipedia if you just look up Doctor Who Series 7. Anyway, and then, after Silver Nightmare, which is the second last episode, there's the last one, which doesn't have a title, but is going to include Strax, Jenny, and Vostra again. Going to include River. And it's going to involve a new enemy called the Whispermen, which I assume are those weird, eyeless, top hat wearing. They kind of remind me of, like, the Silence crossed with something from, like, oh, what's his name? Guillermo del Toro? Is that the guy who made all the freaky movies? If it's not Doctor Who, my knowledge is not that good, so... or video games, for that matter. Anyway, Cold War, excellent. Very good episode. Maybe not quite as good as Akaten, though that's polarizing as hell. You know, go watch Akaten, but go watch Cold War. It's an excellent episode. Really nice episode. Next one looks really nice. I'm going to stop blathering. Ahem. Thank you very much, and I shall see you all next week with Hyde.